I believe your question
thank
is
you.
similar to Freud's, which is what do we believe replaces a God?
Yeah, let me just explain the question. I'm coming from Christian theism, and Christian theism starts from the position, for example, in the Book of Acts, it says, "God who made the world and everything in it is Lord of heaven and earth." And I'll just read one more, just so I can clarify the metaphysical point of this. In Colossians, it says, "For by him all things were created, both in heavens and earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things." And here's the key passage. "And in him, God, all things hold together." Now, from a metaphysical point of view, God could be defined as that which is unconditionally non-dependent. Okay? Would you accept that definition, that God is that which is unconditionally non-dependent?
If you're talking about what you believe exists and that you call a God, then I would have to say I have, I think, a basic understanding of what you believe a God is.
Yeah, if God is eternal and the creator of all things, then by definition, he would be unconditionally non-dependent, right? So,
well, that kind of depends, because I don't have a sufficient understanding of cosmology to know whether that makes sense in a world where time is not also eternal. So
I'm just talking by definition.
Yeah, I'm not sure that definition makes sense because I don't have a sufficient knowledge of cosmology. But if you're trying to say uncaused, then sure.
Okay, so God is unconditionally non-dependent and upon which everything depends. So from a Christian theistic point of view, all Christians would hold to the idea that God is unconditionally non-dependent, and he would be the personal absolute.
So I'm sorry. I understand that this is what you believe about a God, but the statement, "so all Christians agree on X," is one that I don't think can be said about anything.
No, this is not controversial.
I agree with you that it's not controversial. However, I don't know that other Christians would do that, right? Or what your definition of Christian is, or whether you count Mormons, right? Like, those words may very well be words that Christians object to because they're not in the Bible, right?
I'd like to get to the question.
Yeah. So
I'd like to get to the question. Okay.
Right.
So God is defined as the creator of all things. So if God is the creator of all things, then by definition, he's unconditionally non-dependent. Since you lack belief in God, all right? So, for example, in the Christian theistic position, if we say the grass is green, then the intelligibility of the grass being green would depend upon God as that which is unconditionally non-dependent, since he's the creator of all things.
So, to be clear, anything at all would depend on God creating.
I'm trying to get to my question.
All right,
okay?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you lead up to the question.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the Christian theistic perspective, which I hold to, the intelligibility of any stated fact would only be in virtue of God, because God is unconditionally non-dependent. But since you have a lack of belief in God.
Yeah, that hasn't met its burden of proof.
Then what is it? Then what is it in your worldview that is unconditionally non-dependent and an impersonal absolute that will provide for the intelligibility of any assertion? What is that?
Yeah, I don't assert that there is such a thing.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Then you will destroy.
No, I don't, because the world.
Well, you haven't heard my
No, you haven't heard the full content of my response. The world does not live or die or be destroyed or created based on what I believe about it. I exist in a very, practically unfathomably for humans, large universe. And if I died tomorrow, absolutely nothing except, the nature of me being alive would change. So whether or not I have a complete understanding of the universe doesn't change anything about it.
And it's also not absolute, period.
Here's the problem, right? If you're going to state any fact, a fact is only a fact with respect to the system. And the system is going to have to contain a foundation.
Sure.
Whatever is unconditionally non-dependent.
Can you give me the case that must be true? That there must be a thing that is that. Because at the present moment, the best of human ingenuity and understanding at the present moment has come up with Big Bang cosmology.
No, that has nothing to do with it. You're confusing.
You're talking about existence and things existing and the universe as we know it.
Right,
the current greatest model is
universe.
That. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about cosmogony. Okay. So what I'm talking about is metaphysics, which is even beyond that.
Which is sorry. Now, when you say metaphysics, do you mean the existence of things?
You keep cutting me off. You keep cutting me off when I'm trying.
I'm asking clarifying questions.
Yeah. I know that, but I haven't finished, and you keep on. You've interjected or cut me off at least 4 times.
I'm sorry.
Now, I'd like to finish. Now, one will have to hold consciously or unconsciously that something is See, there you go again. You didn't even let me finish. You see,
what? Nobody interrupted you.
I did say no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You are. You're doing it again right now. Now. Either you will hold that something is unconditionally non-dependent, or you will make assertions that are not derived from something that is unconditionally non-dependent. Therefore, the assertions would have no basis. So do you believe that any of your assertions as an atheist have an ultimate basis to them?
Okay. At the present moment, I assert that I am holding this coffee cup. The basis for that is the coffee cup.
Question.
I'm giving you an example that demonstrates the answer to your question. Yes. I'm giving you an example that demonstrates the answer to my question, which is the as best we can tell, facts about reality.
Yeah. You don't understand the question.
No, I do. So whether or not I have whether or not I have a metaphysical worldview at all does not affect my ability to say there is a coffee cup here because I am not talking about metaphysics. Earlier in this conversation, when I brought up cosmology, you said, no, metaphysics is beyond that. Well, fantastic. I'm holding a coffee cup.
No, you're not understanding my question.
You're not understanding my objection to it.
No, I do understand your objection, and I'm also
proceed.
telling you you're not understanding my question. Now, I'm asking you is what ultimately provides for the intelligibility of any stated fact. Whether you say you're holding your coffee cup or the green grass is blowing in the wind, I'm asking you, in order for a fact to be a fact, it will be ultimately derivative of something that is unconditionally non-dependent. Now,
I don't believe that assertion is true.
Do you reject that?
No, I don't accept it. There's a difference.
Okay, no. Okay, not accepting it. Not accepting it means.
Let me ask.
Let me finish.
Yeah, because I believe that my answer was unclear just now. When you say, "Do I reject that?" Do you mean I accept the opposite, or do you mean I do not hold that to be true?
Either you accept,
or you do not accept. Yeah.
I'll try to explain it to you. Listen, when one makes a predication or a statement of fact, the metaphysical intelligibility of any stated fact will either be in virtue of something that is unconditionally non-dependent. You either accept that or you don't accept it.
Give me a reason to accept that.
No, I ask you, do you accept it or not?
At the present moment, I do not hold that to be true, so I believe that's no.
That's an even worse position. Now, the reason
it's an even worse position than what?
I'll try to explain it to you. It's a worse position than affirming that the intelligibility of any fact that you state is derivative of something that is unconditionally non-dependent.
Cool.
Now what you're saying is...
Persuade me that that's true.
No, you're not understanding it. Let me finish and I'll explain it to you. Now, the intelligibility of any stated fact will either be in virtue of something that is unconditionally non-dependent, or you will not accept that. So then let me ask you this question. Since you do not accept that intelligibility depends upon something ultimate, where does intelligibility come for any stated fact with respect to your model of reality? Where does it come from?
So we have two problems. One, I don't believe that you've sufficiently defined intelligibility. I don't believe, as best I can understand, what you've described as intelligibility is a quality of a thing. It's a quality of a human's ability to understand something. And two, well, I have an explanation, and if you don't understand my explanation, provide your own, is a textbook example of an argument from ignorance logical fallacy. So
no, I haven't made any argument at all to you. All I simply ask you is,
do you believe that your question supports the conclusion?
Me off.
Yes, I do.
There we go again.
Do you believe that your question supports the conclusion that everything that exists that every assertion made must ultimately rest on your doodad over there? Do you believe that, oh yeah, then what is your basis in any way relates to the, supporting your conclusion?
Okay, so you're done interrupting?
Are you going to answer my question?
No, well, I didn't finish my point. You see, you rudely cut me off. Okay?
I'm very rude.
Now, the point is yeah, you are rude. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care if you're the host of the show, you're rude.
Oh my.
The question I'm at, oh my. Now, the point is simply this is, intelligibility for any stated fact will be in virtue of the system or the model of reality that it comes from. That model of reality will have to have a foundation for the intelligibility of the system itself. So if you say, I don't need anything that is unconditionally non-dependent as the foundation of my system, then what you are admitting, whether you realize it or not, is that the intelligibility of your assertions doesn't depend upon anything.
Yeah, so here's the problem is I haven't said that.
Okay, so does intelligibility for any stated fact in your model of reality, is it in virtue of an absolute or not?
No,
I don't have a conclusion one way or the other.
So you have no basis for your assertions then, is that correct?
No, I told you earlier what that was. Listen, you've been making the case.
No, the basis
You've been making the case. Now you're interrupting me, sir. Yeah, you've been making the case. You've been making the case that the intelligibility of any assertion depends upon your conclusion being true. Please make that case.
I'm asking you.
Yes.
How do you have intelligibility without a foundation for your system? Can you explain that?
I need you to define intelligibility.
Intelligibility, it means that for any stated fact, it means something in reference to the foundation of your model of reality.
Reality. As can possibly be perceived by myself and other human beings.
Okay. Does the intelligibility of when you state facts, does the intelligibility depend upon the foundation of your model of reality?
No, it goes.
No,
the foundation
it depends
is
on reality.
Usually an evidence base, meaning that
You're not understanding this.
No, I understand it at all. It sounds like you're word salading us, sir.
Yeah.
Evidence is a contingency situation.
It's also not an absolute either, which you seem to be proving right now.
You're not understanding it, man. You're not understanding it.
I'm not understanding you at all. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's going right over your head. So I'll be glad to go over it again very briefly.
Oh, no.
So you're not understanding what I'm asking you for.
No.
I'm asking you to defend your assertion that intelligibility depends on those things. The last time I said that, you said, what I'm doing is asking you a question. Please defend the case for your conclusion. Go.
Intelligibility requires a context and an ultimate context. Do you accept that?
I don't know what you mean by ultimate context.
Okay, context means the system from which predications and facts come. Do you understand that?
Yes. Is that different than an ultimate context?
No. When you have a model of reality, a fact only means something with respect to the system that it is spoken from. Do you accept that?
I don't think that you have clearly stated what it is that you mean. So, no, a statement about a fact about reality is only valuable in terms of how accurate it is to reality. Whether or not I have a metaphysical justification for my statement is irrelevant.
Yeah, you didn't understand what I just said. You're just being argumentative at this point. I'll explain it to you again. A fact only means
listen. So
respect to the system.
EF, if
you understand that? How can a fact mean something outside of any context?
EF, here, hold on a second, because my co-host is in the audience today and would love nothing more. Than to talk to you next week, and we're actually running up towards the end of the show, and I haven't even thanked patrons. I will apologize for the level of rudeness that I've subjected you to.
Understood half of what I've said.
Yes, and if you would like to call back next week, I know that my co-host probably has spent more time researching this.
Are you unable and dealing with the question?
And in the meantime, I will be able to communicate with you over email and also to look up the history of metaphysics and philosophy on these topics and have a better, more informed conversation. Additionally, I apologize for the rudeness I've subjected you to in this call.
Just running out the clock.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you to call back next week when we have even more time. I'm not running out the clock. I'm asking you to go to overtime.
How much time is left?
Well, to
not
be clear,
enough time
to
for
be clear,
you on
there's
this portion of the show.
Yeah,
now,
to be clear,
I'm not going to apologize for being rude here.
Yeah, to be clear, EF,
you can be rude if you want. I don't care.
So EF, there are 3 other callers, and a lot of them have been waiting since even before the show started.
Right. So because you want to be argumentative, you cut me off 6 or 7 times, and then you brush me off.
So right now, I'm trying to offer you the opportunity to be the very first caller next week.
Because you can't answer the you can't answer.
Do you want to have more time to talk about this with a person who's more interested in it? Or not.
So you're not able.
I'm sorry. Who's interrupting who and being argumentative now?
Yeah. So in other words, you're just getting rid of me because you don't want to answer the question.
Listen to me, EF. 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 I don't think you've understood what I'm saying.
Oh, I've understood you.
Have you understood the part where I said you can call in?
I understand the
no.
Where you cannot answer.
All right, EF. You're not. I haven't hung up on you. You're on hold. Do you want to have, I don't know, probably a whole 20 minutes, however long Eric and I will talk to you, all of next week? You will be the first caller. So this, we're running out of time will not be an issue. Do you want to continue to have this conversation or not? You're back on.
How can you be running out of time when you have 3 other callers? Now, I'd like to finish my question.
EF, no. Listen very, very carefully. I'm going to give you one last chance.
Yeah, I already heard you. So
all right, cool. So is this you not accepting the chance to call back in next week?
So you can't answer
So
the question,
is this
can
you accepting or not accepting my offer to call back next week?
So you're a deer in the headlights and you can't answer my question.
Oh my God. I hope that you call back next week. Eric is here. Please listen back to this part right here where you're dropped. Yeah. But listen back to this part where I say, call back next week. I'm not a deer in the fucking headlights. I answered your questions. Your claim of, you can't know anything or you can't say anything without a metaphysical basis. You need a context for things. You need an ultimate context for things. Actually, no. The way that all of the fucking humans everywhere, including yourself, interact with reality depends on our ability to perceive it, and within that, our ability to communicate with each other. Beyond that, philosophical arguments for the metaphysical basis for a human in order to be able to assert things truly on a deeper level are interesting and informative and not dependent on a fucking god.
Mm-hmm. It's okay, Jamie.
And with that, yes, thank you. When I don't know, maybe that's the patient chair and this is the frustrated chair. I think that's what this is.
Really, I wouldn't have given them that. Yeah. I mean, really. You know, when people start thinking that they can commandeer the time on the show, it would be top. Sorry, I will go sister girl in hood on somebody. They would have to go.
What I will say is he got agitated very early because I wasn't going to let him give a 10-minute spiel about
they're not owed that on any
to be clear, what I needed to do was do a more first interruption more politely and say, please define intelligibility. Is it a quality of reality or a description of our ability to understand it? Needed to be the first thing that that I had interrupted with. But in any case, I'd like to take the opportunity now. Don't go away. Don't hit that dial. Don't hang up if you're on the line. I'm going to get to you. But we have 5 patrons to thank. What? Top patrons. Woo! So I would like to thank Neil, Nando, Lynette, Janet. Oh my God, I skipped them in order. Wow, I'm really good at this. I do this for a non-living. Would you believe that? Every week. Neil Bradley, Matt Mayer, Nando Gonzalez, Lynette Ann Cross, and Janet Reyes are our top 5 patrons this week. If you would like to be counted in that list, or eventually when I talk Eric into naming other patrons that aren't just the top 5, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. And hopefully that little bit of whatever I did with my voice helps.
If I may, Jamie, I'm sorry. I'd
course.
like to thank Cherie Kennedy. She's watching right now. She just purchased a mug, a coffee mug, and a shot glass from our online store. And that is another way you can support Black non-believers. We do have a slew of merchandise, some of which is here in the studio with us. And also that is available online. So, of course, we appreciate your tax-deductible donations, but also you can purchase our product. We have swag. If you'd like to represent our organization, you are more than welcome to do so. So please visit our website at blacknonbelievers.org for more info.
Yeah. And actually, you can see a mug here. Boom. And I'm sure in a minute, Eric will take the opportunity to walk in because he's actually wearing a Black Non-Believers t-shirt that can be purchased online. I think they'll find it by Googling Black Non-Believers.
And just there's a store tab on our website. So, yes.